Welcome to Figure Feedback. My name is Jeremy, and this is the Flashforge Creator 5 Pro. This is a version that a lot of people have been waiting for because it is the enclosed version of the Creator 5. And the biggest difference between the two is that this printer has an internal heater, and that allows it to get up to 65 degrees Celsius inside of the chamber, which will enable you to more successfully print things like ABS and ASA and just more engineering type filaments that require that heated chamber in order to print properly and maintain strong layer bonding. So in this video, I just want to do a little unboxing and a first test just to make sure everything is working properly. This is not a full review, that'll come in due time, but this is what you can expect to get when you get yours at your house. So if you're not familiar with how the original Creator 5 is set up, that's okay because the Creator 5 Pro is set up in pretty much the same way. So you have the touchscreen that you easily slot into the front of the printer and then secure it with a couple of screws. You have these other four pieces that you can easily slot in that goes right underneath the tool heads. I forget what they're called, but the nozzles rest on them. So if they start to ooze, that's where they will ooze onto. And you also have the tool head assembly that comes completely assembled for you. Only thing that you have to do is just slot the whole thing into the side of the printer. It goes down nice and easy. You secure it with two more screws, and then you attach the tool heads to their bases inside of the chamber, and everything is held together with magnets, so it makes everything super duper easy again. And then you finally have this cable that's connected to the extruder that you just plug in. It's like a USB-C cable, and then take a couple more screws and secure that. You also have to do some pretty standard things that you would do with any other 3D printer, like removing the bed screws that hold the bed in place in shipping. You have to make sure that those are taken out, removing any kind of tape or any other styrofoam that might be lying around. But the biggest difference with this printer is that because it is enclosed, you do have to assemble the lid, the hat that goes on top of the printer. The dome is made up of a few different panels that you have to assemble together in a sort of a square shape. And to make sure that everything stays together and don't fall apart, you have to connect everything with a few screws. So just to make sure the entire structure is in place, and then you just put it on top of the printer. There are these recesses in the front and the back that have these corresponding tabs that are on the lid. So you just basically make sure those tabs go into these slots, and that's going to secure everything in place. So from there, you just turn on the printer and then you go through the regular setup process. You can connect it to your Wi-Fi if you want. You can connect it to your Flashforge account if you want. And then you have to go through the automatic leveling process and vibration compensation, as well as extruder calibration as well. That whole process is going to take about 30 to 40 minutes or so, and then you will be ready to print. So the first thing that I decided to print was the typical multicolor benchy that comes on the printer. And I know that benchies can be a little bit boring, but I've learned that they are a good test just to make sure that everything is working properly with the printer as far as the cooling goes, and make sure that everything is nice and aligned. That benchy is going to give you a lot of information. So putting the filament into the printer is the same thing as the Creator 5. It does not have automatic loading. It does not have automatic retraction. And I think that's going to be the biggest annoyance with this particular version of the printer, because every time you want to put filament into it, or whenever you want to take filament out, since everything is done manually, you will need to remove the lid so that you can get to the tool head to manually cut the filament before you can pull it out. Or when you want to put filament in, once you run it all the way down to the tool head, you have to squeeze the filament cutter again so that you can push the filament a little bit further into the tool head so that you can start the actual loading process. So if you have this printer set up someplace where you don't have a lot of clearance on top, that is a problem, because you definitely need that clearance in order to take the lid off, to take out new filament, and to add new filament. So that's just something that you should be aware of. So when the benchy was done, taking a look at it, the benchy looks absolutely fine. And like I said before, it was 4 colors, so there's no purge waste. And the filament that I used was a combination of Flashforge's official filament and just random third-party filaments, and everything turned out good. So before wrapping up this video, I also wanted to do something with engineering material and that heated chamber. So I grabbed some PC ABS and I loaded that up, and I used just a regular ABS profile in Flash Studio. And it was going through its motions, and it needed to get up to 65 degrees Celsius in the chamber. And that took about 13 to 15 minutes for it to go from where it was, which was about 35 degrees Celsius, up to about 63. I decided to print the little filament waste bucket that you can connect to the bottom of the bed using magnets. And I wanted to make this out of PCABS because if I'm going to be printing with high temp materials, I don't want that purge bucket to warp. So that's why I decided to make it out of that material. And I also highly recommend that you print yourself something like this as well out of a heat resistant material, because one thing that I've learned is with this heated chamber, if you allow the filament to purge down onto the base and you don't remove all of it, then when things start to heat up, you could just melt that filament right into the base of the printer, kind of like how I did. Maybe I'm able to scrape that off, but it's going to take a little bit of elbow grease, but you definitely should get yourself a little purge bucket so that you don't have to worry about that. Time will tell if this printer is going to hold up, and if I run into any issues with it, I'll let you know along the way. But for now, the 2 prints that I've done on this printer have come out to look very nice, and everything has worked out just fine. Everything's behaving itself. So we're going to continue to work with it, and I'll keep you updated as time goes on. So thank you all so much for watching. Till next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll speak to you soon.